Long, long ago, before the world as we know it took shape, a time existed when animals lived like people. They held councils, shared stories, and gave each other advice. In this ancient time, wisdom was the greatest treasure, valued far more than sharp claws or swift legs, and among all the creatures, none was more renowned for his wisdom than Tortoise. He moved slowly, spoke deliberately, and his words were always heavy with thought. But there was another animal, known for his stubbornness and haste. His name was Goat, yet there was a time when Goat was not foolish. In those early days, Goat was thoughtful and careful. He would listen before speaking and think before acting. He was the one who could calm a heated argument between two angry boars, the one who asked the right questions when tough decisions had to be made. Many animals looked up to him, respecting his calm judgment. Tortoise saw this, and a slow, creeping jealousy began to take root in his heart. He watched as other animals gathered around Goat, praising his careful thinking. Tortoise grew resentful. Why should Goat be so wise? He muttered to himself. Wisdom is my gift, and mine alone. This dark thought blossomed into a clever, deceitful plan. One quiet evening, as the sun painted the sky in shades of orange and purple, Tortoise paid a visit to Goat. He put on his most sincere smile and spoke in a soft, gentle voice. "My dear brother," Tortoise began, "I have long admired your great wisdom." Goat, feeling a warm swell of pride, leaned in to listen closely. "But wisdom," Tortoise continued with a heavy sigh, "is a heavy burden to carry alone." Goat tilted his head, a little confused. Tortoise's voice dropped to a near whisper. "A great council of elders is gathering soon," he explained. "The decisions they make will shape the future for all of us. I fear my wisdom alone might not be enough. Please, my friend, lend me yours for just this one important meeting." Goat hesitated. A small voice inside him warned him. But Tortoise's words were as sweet and tempting as a field of ripe berries. After the council, Tortoise promised, his eyes wide with sincerity, "I will return your wisdom to you, safe and sound." Trusting his friend, Goat agreed. And just like that, with a simple nod, he handed over his sense. The day of the great council arrived. Animals came from every corner of the forest. Lion, the king, presided over the assembly. Elephant stood tall and silent, a pillar of strength. All watched from a high branch, his eyes missing nothing. When it was his turn to speak, Tortoise stepped forward. Words of incredible insight and clarity flowed from his mouth. He presented ideas so brilliant that the elders were deeply impressed. The other animals nodded in agreement, whispering about Tortoise's profound knowledge. "This wisdom is truly deep," Lion declared with a powerful nod. Tortoise bowed low, his heart swelling with pride. Meanwhile, Goat stood at the edge of the crowd, a proud smile on his face. But as the meeting went on, something felt terribly wrong. When he tried to add his own thoughts, his words came out jumbled and foolish. He interrupted the elders, giggled at serious moments, and asked questions that made no sense. The other animals stared at him, shocked and confused. Goat, Elephant rumbled, his voice full of disappointment. "Why are you behaving this way?" Goat was bewildered. He had no idea that his sense, his very wisdom, was gone. After the council, Goat walked home, feeling confused and ashamed. Along the path, he spotted a patch of fresh, green crops in a nearby farm. Without a single thought, he leaped over the fence and began to eat greedily. Suddenly, the farmer's dogs burst out, barking and snapping at his heels. Goat barely escaped with his life. From that day forward, trouble seemed to follow Goat like his own shadow. He ate where he shouldn't, wandered into places he wasn't welcome, and rushed headfirst into danger without a second thought. The other animals started to avoid him. "Goat has lost his senses," they'd whisper to each other. Goat heard their words, but he couldn't understand what had happened to him, why his life had turned upside down. Desperate and alone, Goat went back to Tortoise. "My brother," he pleaded, "ever since I lent you my wisdom, my life has been a disaster." Tortoise feigned surprise. "Oh, is that so?" he replied calmly. "Well, the meeting was very long and tiring," he added with a yawn. "Your wisdom must be exhausted. Why don't you come back tomorrow to collect it?" Goat, still not suspecting the thing, agreed. But when tomorrow came, Tortoise had another excuse, and then another. Tomorrow turned into next week, and next week turned into next month. Each time Goat returned, Tortoise would patiently explain why he couldn't return the wisdom just yet, all while continuing to use it to boost his own reputation. Finally, one day, Goat had had enough. He stood firm and refused to leave. "Return my wisdom to me today," he demanded. Tortoise let out a long, dramatic sigh and shook his head sadly. "My dear brother," he said, his voice full of fake regret, "a terrible thing has happened. During another important meeting, I was carrying your wisdom so carefully, but I tripped. It fell and broke." He then handed Goat a cracked calabash shell. "Here," he said. "Take what remains of it." Heartbroken, Goat collected the broken pieces. From that day on, his thinking was never whole again. He would act on impulse, follow the scent of food instead of the path of reason, and wander into farms, ignoring all signs of danger. He never seemed to learn from his mistakes. Even when other animals would shout warnings, Goat would just shake his head stubbornly and carry on. And that is why, to this day, the elders say, "Goat hears, but he does not understand." Tortoise may have gained fame and respect, but wisdom that is borrowed through deceit never brings true peace. The story teaches us a valuable lesson. Be careful who you trust with your most precious gifts. Sweet words can often hide sharp intentions. When you give away your own sense, you risk losing much more than you ever bargained for. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story and the lessons it holds, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more tales of wisdom from around the world. We'll see you in the next one.